Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Cook and I'm the Business Development Manager at County Kildare Chamber. I'm delighted to be here with you all this morning and to welcome you to this webinar series in partnership with Leo Kildare and Google Digital Garage. So County Kildare Chamber, we promote and support businesses of all sizes in County Kildare so that they can achieve sustainable growth. And we represent the interests of business and commercial activity by lobbying on their behalf. We collaborate with businesses and key stakeholders, including community groups and government agencies, to create a framework in which each business and each employee can reach their full potential in Kildare. We have over 400 member businesses employing over 37,000 in the county, and from sole traders to multinationals. And our corporate partners are major contributors to the economic life of the county. So whether it's getting the word out about your business, networking and getting referrals, peer-to-peer advice on running your business, professional development, brand positioning, CSR opportunities or routes to expansion, the Chamber is here to help. We have a weekly newsletter that is distributed to over 4,000 business contacts every Monday. We also offer a daily member spotlight where we'll create a graphic and share it across all our social media platforms. And every Wednesday morning at 8:30 a.m. we host an online networking webinar event. This gathers on average 30-35 businesses every Wednesday, and there are guest speaker opportunities available at those, so you can give a 10-minute presentation about your business. We also have a fantastic new website and there's a member news section. And don't forget to check out all of our upcoming events at www.countyKildarechamber.ie. And for further information around membership, you can contact me directly, rachel@countyKildarechamber.ie. Membership starts from €300 per 12 months, excluding VAT. So I'll now hand you over to John Mulcahy in LEO Kildare, and I hope you enjoy this morning's webinar. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Mulcahy. I'm the Senior Enterprise Development Officer with the Local Enterprise Office in Kildare, and I'm delighted to welcome you here this morning and to welcome you onto the webinar series that's run in partnership with the Kildare Chamber of Commerce and Google Digital Garage. So before I hand you over to the trainer for today, I would like to just make you aware of some of the different supports that are available to you through the Local Enterprise Office in Kildare. The Local Enterprise Office, we are the first stop shop for all things small to medium enterprise, and so we would encourage you to keep in contact with ourselves and to be aware of different supports that we do have on offer. You can look at all of our details up on our website. So if you go onto our website, which is www.localenterprise.ie/Kildare, and you can get the most up-to-date details on supports that are available to you. For example, you can find details on our business advice clinics, which we run frequently, to go through any business advisory queries that you may have. And also you can look at our mentoring program, which is a very useful support to many of our clients. For example, if you do have an obstacle, let's say if it's digital marketing, we could assign you with a mentor who's a specialist in digital marketing, and they can help you put together a strategy to overcome any issues that you're having, or any obstacles that you're having from that perspective. On our website, you can also have a look at all of our training programs. We will have a number of different training programs for Q1 and for Q2. So all of our programs will be open until May, and you can check them there on the website, and you can book on directly on our website as well. You can also look at the financial supports, grant aid that is available to you. There is the full information of that is available on our website, and also we would have different networking events, so you can check them on our website as well. And we would encourage you to keep in contact with ourselves. We are the first stop shop, as I said, for small to medium enterprise, and that's right the way through on your journey. And whether you're starting off in business, whether you're only starting out, or whether you're in business for a number of years, we have supports that are available to you. So we would encourage you to keep in contact with ourselves. If you have a look on our social media pages, we're up on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. And also I would encourage you to have a look at our newsletter. You can sign up and you can get updates on different supports that are available to you. But we are here to support you in any way possible. So any way that we can support, we will. So if you can keep in contact with us, as I said, by the website or by those details, but you can also give us a call. Our contact number is, it's up on the screen here, it's 045 980 838. That's 045 980 838. Or you can also drop us an email on our email address, which is localenterprise@kildarecoco.ie. That's localenterprise@kildarecoco.ie. Okay, so I won't take up any much more time today, and I wish you the best of luck on the program. And if you have any questions or any queries about supports from the local enterprise office, to please get in contact. Okay, thank you. Bye bye now.
Okay, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Hope you're all kind of keeping safe and well. Before we actually get going with this webinar session, if anybody's actually having any trouble viewing this live stream, what I recommend to you, if you haven't yet done so already, is feel free to kind of refresh this browser page. Sometimes maybe the video might not have been playing from our webinar partners, how it's meant to, kind of as intended. So sometimes if you do the old kind of adage with technology, turn it off, turn it back on again. So give your browser page a refresh, or if you're tuning into this webinar session using your smartphone or a tablet, you can come out of the YouTube app and then reload things back up, and hopefully everything's all okay for you. Now, for those of you who can hear and see me clearly, that's fantastic news. What I'd recommend, if you haven't done so already, is I'd love it if you can kind of get involved and kind of let me know where you're tuning in from, and just kind of feel free to kind of drop in your thoughts, drop in your comments, even ask questions throughout the course of this webinar session, just so you can kind of make the most out of the next hour that we are spending together. Now, I know some of you have already been getting involved in the live chat, which is on the bottom right of your screen. So you might have kind of seen a lot of messages scroll up your screen. That's basically the live chat facility. So some of you have been getting involved. So welcome to Connor Williams. Welcome to Sheehy Motor Group. Naz, welcome to Claire. Welcome to Kathleen. Welcome to Alina, to Trevor, to Des, to Victor, to Gwen, Andrea. I'm sure I'm probably missing some of you out already. Welcome to Charles, to Brian, to Emma, to Edris as well. So thank you all for kind of taking time to tune in to this webinar session this morning, and to kind of join me as well. So I hope that you found this session useful, and please feel free to kind of use that live chat facility to kind of ask questions as we go along the course of this session. Okay, so for those of you who might have had any sort of technical issues or hitches in viewing this webinar live stream, I hope everything's all okay on your end. So without further ado, welcome to this Google Digital Garage webinar session, all about measuring what matters, Google Analytics, which is delivered today in partnership with County Kildare Chamber and local enterprise office Kildare as well. So a little bit about me first and foremost. So I am a trainer for Google's digital skills program, Google Digital Garage. I'm also a lawyer turned digital marketer. So I'll kind of let you kind of work that one out, how that one came to be. But what I kind of now do as a digital marketer is I work with businesses within the legal profession, such as law firms, to help them to create and or grow their online presence. And one of the ways that we actually monitor how well these businesses are doing is that we'll actually have a look at their analytical data to see what's happening on their website when people are visiting them, and then we can then I can kind of chat to them and explain this is what's happening on your website with my clients, and then we can kind of come to informed decisions about what kind of next steps that they can take with their business as well. So that's kind of a little bit about me and my background. I'd also like to introduce at this stage my colleague who's going to be assisting me throughout the course of this webinar session, and that is my wonderful colleague Nikki. So Nikki is going to be our chat moderator. Some of you who've already dropped a quick hi or hello into the live chat might have already seen Nikki's name crop up. You'll see kind of a little blue spanner beside her name. So feel free to kind of get involved. Nikki's going to be keeping tabs with all of your comments and your questions. Some questions, if we're maybe running a little bit short on time, Nikki will be able to kind of provide the answers into the live chat. Neither myself or Nikki can profess that we will kind of have all the answers to everything. So if we don't, we might kind of have to say to you, look, we've not really heard that question before, don't really know the answer. ironically, we might just kind of say to you, you might need to go away and Google it, as kind of with aspects of all kind of digital marketing. It's always kind of a forever evolving industry as well. But feel free to kind of get involved as much as possible. There'll also be kind of times when I'll be asking you kind of questions, and I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts in the live chat as well. Now, the session that you can see that we're running today is Measuring What Matters, Google Analytics. Now, this is one webinar session that we're running as part of a wider series, which is delivered in partnership with County Kildare Chamber and LEO Kildare as well. Now, if you have a look down below me in the video description box below, you'll see that there's a website link which takes you to the sign up page for the next webinar in this series, which is all about understand consumer demand with a tool called Google Trends. So you can sign up for that webinar session, which I believe is happening on Thursday, the 25th of February at 11 a.m. So same sort of time as we've got going today. So once you've signed up for that, you can just tune in using kind of the same method that you did for this session as well, using kind of a different link that will be sent to you as well. Also, feel free to kind of explore our Google Digital Garage Island website. So have a look. There's another link in the video description box below me. And that link takes you directly to the Google Digital Garage website, where you can have a look at the other upcoming Google Digital Garage webinar schedules, kind of have a look at the schedule for other upcoming webinars, as well as kind of explore kind of the wider website. So there's a section called the online courses section, which has lots of different courses which are available to you at no charge, which are provided by Google, which aim to kind of supplement some of the learning that you might do on certain types of webinar sessions, such as these. So we've got a really good online course that might be of interest to you, which is called the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing. So whether you are tuning in and you are running a business, or whether you are tuning in kind of working on behalf of a business, so whether you're kind of an employee or maybe a senior member of staff, this particular course will be kind of really valuable to you. And it's a course called the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing. Now, this course just happens to be the first course that will appear on the list of all the courses on that online courses page. Now, this is a really great course because it gives you that kind of holistic overview as to how businesses promote their products and services in the online forum or online space in general, as you were. And one of the elements that we actually kind of go and kind of dive a little bit deeper into is something like Google Analytics as well. So feel free to kind of start kind of completing that course in your own time. So this is only kind of when you've got a little bit of downtime, and it's always good to kind of refresh yourself with certain knowledge, even if you might have learned things in the past as well. As an added bonus, this particular course, the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, once you've completed this course, which remember is available to you at no charge, you'll also receive a certificate which is available to you at no charge, which is coming directly from Google to kind of recognize that you've completed this particular course. So feel free to check out that course, along with the other fantastic courses on the Google Digital Garage website. But without further ado, let's actually look at what we're going to be covering in today's session, which is all about Google Analytics when it comes to measuring what matters. So first of all, we're actually going to understand what is Google Analytics. It's all good and well me talking about this buzzword Google Analytics, but we need to know what is this platform and how is it and why is it important actually? Why is it important to my business? So some of you might be tuning in, you don't even know what Google Analytics is, or some of you might have it already installed and linked with your website, but you don't really know the full intricacies and kind of the power of it and why you should kind of constantly be using this platform to benefit your business. So we'll kind of touch upon how and why it is important. We'll then kind of move into, once we've understood what Google Analytics is we'll actually look at how data is understood in Google Analytics. Because once we know how to read and interpret data, that will really kind of give us that kickstart into thinking, right, yes, I can make business decisions off looking at this information. And when it comes to this data, that's kind of brought into this tool called Google Analytics. In order to make sense of it, what Google Analytics does, it actually translates this information into something which is more readable and understandable and digestible by us as business owners in the form of reports. So we'll have a look at various reports. Some might be of more use to you than others as well. And then we'll kind of finish off this webinar session by looking at how Google Analytics can help to drive business success. So kind of helping you with the end goal and kind of with that bottom line for your business as well. So that's what we're going to be covering between now and roughly about midday. So So I hope that you've kind of got maybe your pen and paper at hand, just to kind of jot down some notes. So first of all, before we actually look at what is Google Analytics, why is this platform important? Well, the biggest reason that this platform is important is that we're kind of living in kind of a forever evolving kind of market and a world and the industry perhaps that you might be in, especially with kind of the current the current world climate that's kind of going on as well. So it's important, especially for businesses. So some of you out there might be tuning in whereby your business was kind of totally offline, or there was maybe elements of the online aspect that you were using. But maybe now you're kind of placing more reliance upon your website. So with that in mind, Google Analytics is a tool that exclusively provides data based upon people who are visiting your website. So it makes sense to actually look at this information, look at kind of the people that are coming on, what are they doing, what kind of location are they tuning in from, and then you can make kind of more informed business decisions off the back of that as well. So that's why it's kind of important to kind of have and use this tool called Google Analytics. So what is it? So Google Analytics is, as you can see here, it's the most widely used web analytics tool that allows you to kind of track all information. Essentially allows you to track pretty much every click that somebody makes when they come onto your website, which is really powerful to do, because once you kind of look at that information, you can digest it and you can be like, right, if you kind of look at it over a set period of time, you can think, oh, okay, there's kind of a trend forming here. And then you can make a decision off the back of that. Maybe if you're maybe selling products kind of through an e-commerce store, it might make you think, oh, well, this product's selling quite well. There's a lot of interest here. Let me kind of maybe promote that a little bit more, and vice versa for maybe products that aren't selling so well as well. So with that in mind, I want to introduce you not just to Google Analytics, but I want to introduce you to Google Analytics 4. So some of you might be using Google Analytics currently, what's kind of known now as kind of universal analytics. So this is kind of the next iteration, the next step, called Google Analytics 4, which is what I like to call the next gen of Google Analytics 4. A little bit like you get kind of Star Trek, kind of the original Star Trek series, and then you kind of get Star Trek Next Generation. This is kind of a little bit like that. So there's kind of more changes, more improvements, more advancements as well. And one of the biggest changes with Google Analytics 4, which some of you may be using Google Analytics 4, by the way. If you are, let me know in the live chat. I'd love to kind of just pick up on those comments. If you're not, also feel free to kind of jot down some notes, and maybe you can kind of look to migrate to this new version of Google Analytics. But one of the biggest changes of Google Analytics 4 is that it allows you not only to kind of track and kind of get kind of reporting on between kind of what's on your website, but also if you have an app, if you run an app, if you exclusively run an app, or if you run an app alongside your website, then this is a great tool to be able to monitor kind of the movements that happen both on an app, both on your app and on a website as well. So you can really get kind of a really detailed reporting going on for kind of between devices, so cross-device and cross-platform as well. Now, when it comes to setting up Google Analytics 4, in terms of my experience, kind of with my own website, it was relatively easy. There was kind of a little kind of setup wizard that you can access to actually kind of migrate between the two. And what you can do, which is really handy, is you can still have your normal universal analytics going for those of you who have Google Analytics installed and kind of linked to your business website already. But you can also have Google Analytics 4 running alongside it. So you can have kind of two versions of analytics running, because it's always, I know how it feels when it's something new and you don't really know how to use a particular platform. You don't know how to kind of read certain reports and where to kind of go into, what kind of menu options to click into. It feels really alien, doesn't it? So you're not really sure where to kind of click into. So it's always nice to maybe kind of have that slow burn migration. So feel free to kind of look into that a little bit further. Nikki, I'm sure, is going to be popping in kind of useful links that you can kind of read further with kind of step-by-step guides, how you can sort of migrate across to Google Analytics 4. So how does Google Analytics work in general? So it all starts from collection. So the collection stage is all about kind of the setup. So you kind of want your Google Analytics to start talking to your website and kind of vice versa. So it's when somebody visits your website, there should be kind of an alarm bell that sounds off with your website and says, oh, I need to tell Google Analytics about this. so that they're able to kind of monitor what happens with this particular user that comes to my website. Whilst that's also happening, once that information is kind of being transmitted between your website and Google Analytics, what Analytics does is that it actually goes through a process of looking at this raw data and then converts this raw data into information that you will be able to see on your end in the form of reports, which makes it easier to understand and to read. And then you can make decisions off the back of that as well. And you can also kind of look into kind of configuring your Google Analytics account and your platform that you have for your own business. So for example, I remember kind of doing this when I first set up my website. So I was always kind of making tweaks and adjustments to my website to kind of make it a bit more slicker and advanced. And whilst I was kind of doing that, I kind of realized that a lot of the kind of hits that I was getting on my website was coming from me, and kind of the saying, okay, so you're getting a lot of hits from this part of the country. And I was like, okay, that's very familiar. And then I realized that all these clicks were coming from me. So something that you can configure is you can actually mark your own IP address where you are making alterations as internal, so that's not counted towards kind of the data that is included within kind of your reports that you will receive as well. So in terms of kind of the setup process, once you've actually migrated from Google Analytics, the Universal Analytics, to Google Analytics 4, you can then navigate your way to the admin section. It might be a little bit difficult to see on your screen here, but we've got a screen grab here. So once you got there, you can then navigate across. You've got two different options, two different columns. So you've got account, and then you've got property. Now, if you go into property, there's a section called data streams. Now, in the data streams, you then want to add the details of your website that you want to kind of that you want to be read by Google Analytics, and kind of allow those kind of permissions in terms of it being read. This is also the place, if you have an app, to include details of that as well. And I'm sure you can kind of find the step-by-step process for the apps and kind of the website respectively for adding your data streams. And then once you've done that, you want to kind of make sure and tell your website, right, every time somebody visits my homepage, every time somebody visits my product page or my service page, or my contact page, whatever it might be for your own business site, you want to kind of tell Google Analytics, right, you need to start monitoring this when somebody visits it. And the way you can do that is by incorporating what's known as a global site tag. This is an example of a global site tag. So this is just kind of to the likes of you and I, this just looks a little bit like jumbled up writing. But essentially, this is what is known as JavaScript code. Now, this kind of snippet of kind of code here is something which needs to be copied and pasted into just below what is known as the header tag. Now, if you've got a web developer, I would highly recommend just giving them this global site tag to say, hello, can you please pop this onto my website, please? And can you please pop this onto all of my web pages? So just below what's known as the header tag. So it's towards the top of your kind of your each one of your web pages, the coding part of it, and get them to kind of paste that on. Now, if you're kind of doing it all yourself, so maybe you've got something like your own WordPress websites that you've set up, and you kind of want to look into the code, you then want to paste this into it, then it is kind of a little bit of an arduous task where you have to go through and paste this particular global site tag into each individual page that you have, which can be a little bit of a chore, especially if you've kind of got an established website where you've got, let's say you are selling multiple products and you've got kind of a product list of 100 that you need to kind of jump on. So it can be quite time consuming. And that's where a tool such as Google Tag Manager can come in and really kind of save the day, really, and save you a lot of time. Now, what Google Tag Manager does is, by the way, Google Tag Manager is another tool which is available to you in the same way that Google Analytics is another tool which is available to you at no charge. So this is something that you can kind of get started with and just kind of start using straight away. So what Google Tag Manager does in its kind of simple form is this global site tag that you've got, you can add that into this tag manager, and it kind of creates a little bit of kind of like a container. And in this container, you can have your global site tag. You might also have other tags that you want linking and tracking your website movements, such as when people are coming through from your Google ads, if you're running Google ads. So there'll be a separate site tag for that. There'll also be another site tag which will come from, maybe you're running something like email marketing campaigns where you're kind of sending out newsletters and you want to kind of see how many of those people who are then clicking onto my links in my email are then coming through to my website. So then you'll have other tags like that. Now, if you manually enter all of these tags, one, it's very time consuming, but two, it might even possibly slow down in terms of kind of the loading speed of your website. Because if you think about a web page, when it is loading up all of these different tags, it can take a little bit of time sometimes. So it might slow down your website. So using something like Global Tag Manager can help. So when you've got this container of, let's say, 3 or 4 different tags, what kind of is spat out on the other end with Google Tag Manager is one kind of tag which covers all of these tags, and it cleans up your code for your website, and just makes your life a lot easier in general. And I'm always one for organization in general, so I always try and be neat and tidy with everything, even with my desk as well. Everything's kind of placed in the right place, kind of water, my screens, everything as well. So it's, I kind of like that structure, especially as well. So now that we've kind of understood what is analytics, let's actually understand what's kind of thrown up by Google Analytics. So once this kind of communication channel happens between your website and it's all this information from your website in terms of who's visiting your site is thrown up, how do we actually make sense of all these kind of numbers that kind of exist here? So I want to kind of showcase to you the 2 types of information that you'll see on Google Analytics, just to kind of demystify things, because I know sometimes it's a bit overwhelming when you come to the Google Analytics homepage. It's like, oh my God, where do I look? I'm constantly kind of doing a circle. Which part of this page do I look at first? So there's 2 types of information that's kind of shown here on Google Analytics. So you've kind of got your metrics. So these are kind of your numbers, just your raw numbers. And the best way to think about it is, if you can count it, then it's what is known as a measurement or a metric. So things such as number of sessions. By the way, what I mean by sessions is the time somebody spends on your website, on your business website. But what happens is, if somebody, let's say I visit your business website, but then I get waylaid. I think, oh yeah, I've still got the rice cooking on the stove. I need to go do my laundry, and whilst I'm kind of browsing on your website, maybe searching for a pair of jeans, whatever it might be, and then I come back to it over half an hour later, and then I carry on browsing, then a new session is started. So there's a time limit cut off by default in Google Analytics for a session which lasts for kind of 30 minutes. So that's what we mean by sessions. Now, this is something which you can alter as well and customize in regards to kind of the session cutoff times as well. So metrics is everything kind of number related, but it's all good and well having numbers, but we want to add context to the numbers. What do these numbers mean? And that's where dimensions or attributes comes in. So in terms of the numbers, you might see there's a number of 1,000, but then you want some context with that. Okay, there's 1,000 people visiting from who geographically they look like they're based in Kildare, or they're based in Dublin, or wherever they might be in the world as well. You can kind of see which browsers they're viewing from, which kind of operating systems are they kind of using to get to your website. So these are all kind of dimensions of attributes. So if you have questions such as which browser, what operating system are they coming from, or which country, which region are they coming from as well, they would typically be kind of your more kind of descriptive types of attributes here as well. So this is what kind of your homepage typically would look like. A lot of kind of graphs, and it's always good to kind of look at graphs rather than the solid numbers straight away, because it can be a little bit daunting and it can take you a little bit back. So in terms of the kind of the homepage, you can see things such as the users who are coming and visiting your website, the number of new users as well. So there's a lot of information that to kind of take stock, but it's always nicer to kind of see everything in the form of a graph, because then afterwards you can drill down if you want to actually know kind of the hard kind of numbers as well. So with that in mind, let's have a look at traffic sources, which is kind of where are people coming to us from? Which kind of avenues are they coming to us from? So there's lots of different places that people can come to us from. People can look at our social media. People can look at our Facebook or our Instagram, and then come visit our website from there. They might come through from an email marketing campaign that we've got. They might come through Google search. They might come through an advert as well. Now, you might be wondering, well, how is all of this kind of tracked? Especially, let's say if you have, let's say at home, you've got kind of a family tablet. All of you kind of share it. You're all kind of browsing here and there. Some of you kind of now and then binge watch YouTube videos, a little bit like what I do, and 2 hours later you realize you've got no work done at times. And after all of that, you're wondering, well, how do these kind of websites, and how does Google Analytics, how can it sort of track where people are actually coming from? Especially, let's say if yourself you've kind of done about 10 random searches over the past week on that tablet, and then in the same week your partner's done 10 searches. How is kind of these websites, how are kind of business websites, how is Google Analytics able to kind of interpret and understand where people's kind of where they're actually coming from? Are they definitely coming from Facebook? Are they coming from email marketing campaigns? And the answer to that is it's all kind of logged and tracked through your web address, or what is known as your URL. I'm sure you kind of heard that name, that phrase before, URL, which is just basically the common phrase for web address. By the way, fun fact, if you want to know this for maybe something like a virtual pub quiz, a URL, what that stands for is Uniform Resource Locator. So yeah, that's just a random fact that I'd love to kind of throw out there, which might be helpful for a question if you might get that up into a virtual pub quiz perhaps as well. So you can kind of see by having these kind of by having these web addresses which are unique, that is kind of the tracking information that can kind of locate where your website users are coming from, which helps you when it comes to your marketing efforts. So with that in mind, let's just have a look at this acquisition. This is an acquisition report, and we'll touch upon reports shortly as well. And it kind of shows you people are kind of tuning in from the likes of kind of Google, Facebook. It kind of shows you the number of users and all that kind of good stuff information here. So that's kind of how it will kind of appear to you when those unique links are coming in. It will show you, right, okay, there's this amount of kind of new people who are tuning in, who are coming through Facebook or LinkedIn or Bing, etc. as well. Now, when it comes to Google Ads and kind of having those unique tags, kind of having that extra bit of information for the web address, this is automatically done for you because Google Ads integrates with Google Analytics perfectly. So all you need to do if you are running Google Ads is just to select the option of auto tagging. So the way you can do that is, this is a snapshot of Google Ads. If you go to your account settings of Google Ads, and then you'll find a section called auto tagging, and it's a simple case of ticking the box that says tag the URL that people click through from my ad. And what that means is when you actually see how many people are tuning in and clicking through from a particular ad that you've been running, you will see on the other side on Google Analytics to see how well you've been, how many people are coming through from that particular advert. So it's automatically done for you. But you might be wondering, well, Rikesh, I run things such as email marketing campaigns. I want to kind of track people if I put a link to my website from a particular Facebook post that I've put up today. And you can do that. You can also create customized website addresses or URL links for them as well. And you can do that through using a tool called the Campaign URL Builder. So you kind of fill out this kind of short form here, which is the website address that you want to take people to. You can then kind of select what sort of information do you want to track. So you can say something like newsletter. You want to kind of track from an email campaign. Fill out all that kind of information, and then what happens at the end of this kind of page, which is kind of cut off here, is you will actually see that there is kind of an auto-generated link which will be created for you, which you copy and paste into something like your Facebook post, or you copy and paste to link through when you say the word click here and you hyperlink that in your email marketing campaign. You can paste that link in. So that's something which can then be tracked and read back to Google Analytics. So you can see how well your marketing efforts are performing as well. And that's obviously for kind of non-Google Ads related kind of media that you are sourcing, because as I mentioned with Google Ads, it's all kind of done through auto tagging. Okay, we're about halfway through. Let me see if there are any kind of questions from you all. So there's no questions, but I can see a lot of people kind of getting involved with regards to the live chat. So it's kind of great to see so many of you all, and I'm seeing a lot of kind of thank yous for kind of Nikki here for kind of dropping in some useful links. And it's one of those where I know this webinar session, when it comes to analytics, can be a little bit kind of content overload. Sometimes there's a lot to take in for your brain in the short space of an hour, but sometimes it's always nice to kind of absorb this information in one go, and then you can kind of revisit it and take action steps and kind of explore something like Google Analytics 4 in your own time after this session has finished as well. If there are any questions, pop them into the live chat. I'll try and get them get into them towards the end of this webinar session. Let's now have a look at Google Analytics reports here. So we've kind of looked at, first and foremost, what is Google Analytics and Google Analytics 4, which is this new type and next gen of Google Analytics itself. We then kind of moved over and looked at how do we interpret and understand this information, how is Google Analytics able to track where people are coming from in terms of the traffic sources. Now we want to actually see what on the other end of the scale, once this data has been interpreted and processed, what happens in terms of these reports? What does it show us that we can make sense of? Now, there's lots of different type of reports that you'll see, and they'll typically appear kind of on the left-hand side of your Google Analytics page. And for those of you who are well versed and have used kind of the current or kind of the universal version of Google Analytics and not used kind of the new version of Google Analytics 4 yet, it's still kind of, you're still using that navigation of kind of the left-hand pane, which has all the information, all the reports that you can click onto. So the type of reports depend on maybe the question that you have. So who are these website visitors? You might have that sort of question where you can dive into demographic reports, you can dive into tech reports, retention reports. Where are they based? Where are they? Where are they kind of coming from in terms of which traffic sources are they coming from? So we looked at earlier on people coming from Google, people from Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. as well. So that's where we look at acquisition report. What do they do? So this is really important to be aware of, and we'll go into engagement report shortly as well, is when these website users are coming onto your business website, what are they doing? Are they just jumping onto your homepage, having a quick look and then jumping off? Or are these people actually jumping on, having a look, maybe browsing some of your products, and maybe a lot of people are looking at the same particular product? You can actually find out which product is kind of the most popular or the most viewed on your website as well. And then essentially there's a really kind of a baseline to analytics, which is understanding what's the bottom line for me? What's the value in this for me, for looking at all this information, making interpretation of the decisions? How's things going to benefit me? How am I going to get a conversions if we kind of talk a bit of sales speak here? How are people essentially going to pay money, which is going to pay me as a business owner as well? So we'll have a look at events reports and conversion reports as well. Now, the one type of report that we're not going to be really covering in this webinar session is real-time report, and that's purely because real-time reports are kind of based upon information which is happening in real time. So if I was to jump onto your business site and you had Google Analytics open, you will see that there's one visitor, or if all of us kind of jumped in, it will kind of show the amount of people who are tuning in and watching. So you can only see what's happening in real time. But from a business point of view, we kind of want to look at kind of historical data, what people have been looking at beforehand as well. So let's kind of jump into some of these reports that we're going to be looking at. So user reports. So we want to kind of answer, well, what kind of website user is coming through to my site? Now you can look at kind of demographics reports, and for those of you who have used the Universal Analytics before, or the previous version of Google Analytics before, you will have kind of seen kind of a map similar to this, which would have kind of been in your audience section. So it would have been in one of those audience reports and kind of locations, I believe, or it might have been kind of geolocation, if memory serves me right. And what it kind of throws up to you is it kind of shows you which parts of the world people are tuning in from. You can actually delve a little bit deeper. So it looks like the UK, US, India, and Ireland seem to be kind of the four main places that people are tuning in from. The dark blue patches on this world map kind of show you where people are tuning in and viewing your website from the most as well. And that could maybe give rise to you thinking, well, maybe I can expand. I'm a business. I'm based in Ireland. I don't necessarily ship yet to the UK, so that could be something that I can explore. So it helps you to kind of make these kind of more informed business decisions as well. So that's demographics reports. Another type of report is tech reports. So this kind of shows you which kind of devices people are visiting your website from. So a lot of people coming through and kind of browsing on the tablets, a lot of people using the smartphones, a lot of people using desktop. Now, it might be a little bit difficult to see on this screen grab here, but it seems like the amount of kind of users and new users are coming through, majority are coming through viewing your website on a desktop, so on a laptop or a computer as well. which is fine. So you want to make sure that your website is fully running, it's fully slick for your website. But not too far behind is the amount of people who are visiting your business site from mobile. And it's important to make sure, if you haven't yet done so already, to ensure that your website, your business website, is mobile friendly. So you might have kind of seen those three lines known as kind of the hamburger menu that appears if you click on that. Then you can select certain options on your website when you're viewing on a smartphone, and you kind of want to avoid websites which are not mobile friendly, where you kind of have to pinch and zoom into certain things to kind of read it or learn more information as well. So it's important to do that, especially because I'm sure, like me, you probably have your smartphone within arm's reach of you, or you have it kind of nearby. Some people even go to sleep with the smartphone, I guess, which is probably not a good habit to kind of to get into in terms of having a good sleep cycle, to be fair, as well. I remember I had to stop doing that a while ago and kind of put my phone into do not disturb mode after a certain period of time in the evening as well. So that's kind of tech reports. And it can give you clarity as to what maybe improvements that you need to make to your website, and also from an app perspective as well. If you have an app as well, it kind of show you which kind of platforms people are visiting from. Are they visiting on iOS? Are they visiting through Android as well? Then we've got acquisition reports. So we kind of briefly looked at this a while ago when we looked at kind of people, which kind of traffic sources people are coming from. So if we actually kind of delve a little bit deeper here and then kind of ask the question, well, which channels perform better? So people are coming through Google, great. But what parts of kind of either Google search are they coming from, or kind of what aspects of my promotion on social media are people coming through, or through my email campaign, how they're coming through? And we can actually kind of drill down a little bit more into our source, into kind of a sub reports, which is kind of the medium report that you can see on screen here. You see kind of a graph here where it shows you kind of people coming through to you organically. So they're finding you on Google search, great. People coming through from CPC, which stands for cost per click. So the people are finding you through, a little over half of the people are finding you through Google ads that you're running as well. Other people are finding you through referrals. So they're coming through from other people's websites, which are then drawing that traffic and attention onto your business website as well. So we can drill down even further into this in terms of not just having a pretty view with the graph, but also actually have a look at some of the numbers in regards to this as well, and kind of have a look to see what kind of engagement rates we're getting. So it looks like organic seems to be kind of people finding us on Google search. That seems to be getting the most traction here as well. So we can make sure and look at, okay, how can we maybe improve our website listing that we have on Google? So what kind of improvements can we make in terms of our website as well? Now, with that in mind, I want to kind of draw your attention to another tool which is available to you at no charge, called Google Search Console. Now, Google Search Console, let's say you have kind of similar figures and stats as to what we just seen on the screen grab, which showed that a lot of people coming through organic search, i.e. kind of Google search itself. You can actually monitor how well your website listing is performing, in terms of if you're constantly making improvements to your website, in terms of the data, in terms of what people are searching for in that Google search box, and kind of marrying that up with what you want to be found for as a website, you can actually monitor how well you're performing. So on Google Search Console, you can actually see what your average position is on YouTube. So maybe certain days you might appear number 4 on the result list. Other days you might appear number 12. Other days you might appear number 8, and you kind of get an average of 7.4, for example. You can also see things such as the total number of clicks as well, and kind of the amount of people who are seeing your website listing, and the percentage of those who are then clicking onto it as well. And it's a really fantastic tool to actually monitor how well your website content is performing for your ideal type of customers that you are looking to attract to your website. Now, there's a lot more kind of fantastic features of Google Search Console that you can sort of explore. And what I'd highly recommend, because I've done this myself, is have a look at the YouTube channel called Google Search Central, and have a look in the video playlist section. There's a video playlist called Search Console Training, if memory serves me right. I think that's a title similar to that anyway. There's about 15 or 16 videos roughly, which are roughly about 5 or 10 minutes long, and it shows you certain features of Google Search Console. Some might be useful to you, more useful to you than others in regards to your business as well. back to reports here. You've also got engagement reports. So what will our users be doing once they actually get to our website? So what are they navigating to? So engagement reports, you can kind of see kind of an overview here. Now, an important thing to kind of bear in mind here is the average engagement time is kind of looking at the amount of time that a particular website user has your web browser, has your business website at the forefront of their browser. So it's kind of not in the background or anything like that. And this could apply to apps as well. So it's not kind of gone into inactive mode. It's constantly kind of on the go. How long are they spending? What's the kind of average engagement time as well? So you kind of get these graphs when it comes to the overviews of these reports, and then you can sort of drill down a little bit further. Now, a really great report to kind of look at in engagement is look at kind of the pages. So for those of you who want to kind of find answers to the questions such as which services are people mostly interested in with my business, which products are people finding the most kind of drawing the most eyes and attention of as well. And this is where you can actually have a look at this pages and screens kind of part of this engagement report. So you can see the number of views. You can see the number of new users visiting these particular pages as well. So this is for this example, you can kind of see you've got home, you've got homepage, you've got winter food and drink menu. It looks like this is a restaurant of sorts. Order takeaway, locations, about us, work for us kind of page as well. So you can kind of see what the interest is. Now, when it comes to kind of comparing certain pages against others, I'd say it's highly unfair to compare your homepage, which will probably get the most amount of interest, because that's kind of your splash landing page that people kind of get dumped onto when they kind of visit your site a lot of the times. But it's more comparable to kind of look at, okay, let me compare the interest in this particular product that I sell and compare that to another similar product that I sell, and look at what what kind of the interest is in terms of the website visitors who are coming across these pages. Then that can give you an idea that you can maybe improve maybe the descriptions or the pictures on those products. And then kind of the ones that are working well, you can look to maybe promote them and push them more, maybe with things such as advertisements or kind of further email marketing campaigns and other types of digital marketing as well. Then we've got retention reports as well. So retention reports are people coming back to us. And that's very clear and simple. So especially kind of in kind of the current world climate that we're living in, a lot of business owners that I've been speaking to, they said that they've managed to keep going because they've had a lot of customers that have been returning to them. So it's really kind of it's really important to kind of make sure that customers are coming back to us once they've actually bought from us before. So you can have a look at kind of the retention reports as well. So you can kind of compare new users to your website to returning users as well. So with that in mind, let's kind of finish off by actually having a look at how Google Analytics can help to drive success for our business. And that all kind of stems from that keyword, which is kind of the best word, I guess, that can be used in sales, which is conversions. How many conversions are we getting? How much money are we making, essentially, at the end of the day? So I want to throw this question out to you, and I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts and comments into the live chat, which is, what actions do you feel are most important on your website? So if I kind of throw out an example here, let's say that you are an e-commerce business and you've got your shop all set up online. Maybe one of the key kind of actions that you want to track and monitor is when people click the word add to cart. So that's kind of an important action. So what's kind of most important to you? Feel free to pop this down into the live chat. I'll try and sort of read out some of yours as we go along. So it could be kind of little things such as people watching a video, a particular video once they're kind of linked through from your email marketing campaign, or it could just be kind of on a grander scale where people are getting an activity that you want to monitor is how many people are getting to your order completed page, perhaps once they've actually made a purchase from you as well. Now, one thing to kind of bear in mind is that correct measurement is the foundation of all optimization. And this is where Google Analytics comes in. And as I mentioned towards the beginning of this webinar session, that the two kind of things to read when it comes to the data and information that's provided to you on Google Analytics is the metrics, so all the measurements, all these numbers, and then the dimensions or the attributes. So it's the information that gives these numbers some context and some relevancy. Now, it's all good and well looking at all this, but we then want to take action off the back of this. So once we've looked at this information, how can we then make improvements to our website? How can we then improve our own marketing efforts as well? This is what Google Analytics does for you. So you're able to answer questions using the data that you see in Google Analytics here. So what you can actually do is you can kind of track some of these actions that are kind of important to you and to your website. So for example, you can kind of identify events. So are you looking to kind of look at kind of the more macro types of information, such as leads, or you want to kind of track an action where people are watching a certain video or are downloading an ebook or a PDF that you have that you're kind of giving away free to kind of get them into your kind of like your sales funnel, where you're kind of getting them in with something free, then kind of maybe trying to sell them a kind of a cheaper product, and then getting them down the line to maybe your proper premium product, and kind of getting them involved that way as well. So you can actually identify various events like that, even things such as time spent on your website as well. So you can identify these events, but then what you can do with Google Analytics 4 is you can then create this event. So for those of you who might have used in the Universal Analytics, there's a section called goals. This is a little bit like setting up goals. But at this stage, we're not setting up goals. We're just kind of setting up things that we want to monitor. They're kind of little background things that we want to monitor. Now, certain things can be monitored automatically. If you go to the admin section of your Google Analytics 4, and if you select an option which is called enhanced measurement, there's a few extra things that can be measured. Things such as the amount of people that download a particular file from your site, those kind of things. Say if you've got a free ebook or a PDF that you want people to download, that sort of information can also be kind of measured automatically without you having to do anything in particular as well. And that kind of brings me to kind of event reports. So let's say we are this restaurant and we are kind of looking at a particular action that we want to monitor. So the amount of people that click the word download menu to kind of find out more, you can kind of see here the event count is about 241. But the total users is only 158. So how does that work? Well, that's where those kind of automated kind of information which is collected through that enhanced measurement comes into play as well. And you can kind of see kind of the spike and the trend in terms of what times a year people are kind of downloading these menus. So you can actually see maybe how busy a restaurant was kind of 2 years ago compared to 5 years ago, for example, as well. So that kind of gives you kind of a lot of information to kind of go off as a business to then make informed decisions off the back of this information here as well. Now, if we take this a step further, so as I mentioned, setting up goals earlier on, this is where we are actually kind of setting up goals. So we've got these events that we want to keep tabs on, keep kind of monitoring somewhat as well. But now we can take things further. So what's the most important thing to you? So the most important thing, let's say if I run an e-commerce business website, is when people are clicking the add to cart button, people are getting through to the order completed page, people are subscribing to my newsletter mailing list that I have. So all of that kind of information as well. So that's where setting up conversions comes into play. Now, in order to kind of set up these conversions, we first of all have to kind of set up these events first. So that's why we kind of went through kind of setting up these events, because then what we can do, we can mark some of these events. So just kind of tick a box and say, right, this event, I want it to be a conversion. So this is what I find very important to me. When people are clicking the add to cart button, people are clicking that view basket button, people are clicking the checkout button once they've actually got to that checkout page itself as well. And then you can actually add up to 30 conversion events as well. So there's quite a lot that you can add in, and you can monitor these. You can turn some on and off. But I guess with most businesses, especially let's say if you are selling products, then you're probably not going to be kind of turning it off anytime soon, because you will obviously want to see when people are kind of buying from you most of the time as well. Even with services, this kind of works the same as well. So you might have specific service pages, and then you might have at the bottom of it kind of a specific kind of inquiry form. So that could be something that you could track as a conversion yourself as well. And then you can actually have a look at how well these conversions are doing, how these important actions are performing with their own kind of conversion reports as well in the form of organic graphs. And then you can, again, break that down into kind of pure hard numbers there as well. And you can kind of see with this example, a lot of people seem to be, so 44 people out of a total of 76 here are actually purchasing and making a purchase from your from your business website, including kind of the graph here, which is showing that. And they're coming through referrals. So they're coming through other people's websites. So if you click on referral, you can actually drill down and look at which websites people are coming from. And then maybe those websites who you don't really know, but they maybe referred you, you can maybe strike up a partnership so they may promote you even more. So again, you can see that there's a lot more answers that are coming to you, and kind of actions that you can then take off the back of that as a business. So let's kind of finish off by looking at a success story. So some of you may or may not be aware of an airline called Etihad Airways. So what Etihad Airways did was they actually wanted to kind of find those website users who came to their website, viewed it, went down maybe through a process, maybe looked at some of the flights and prices, etc., and then kind of jumped off it. They didn't bother kind of booking anything afterwards. They wanted to kind of capture that market again predominantly, as well as kind of other goals that they had that you can see on screen, such as better kind of user experience, etc. as well. So what they did was they used it once they kind of looked at the analytical data in Google Analytics to look at what people are browsing in terms of the pages. They were able to then create remarketing search adverts, which were adverts which are specific to these people. So for example, there were certain website user visitors who were coming through to Etihad Airways site who were solely searching for business class flights. So they were able to kind of run specific business class search adverts to these people to get in front of their eyes once again as well, and then bring them back to the website and hopefully drive bookings as well. So through this, they were actually able to see a 65% return on investment in terms of the advertising spend that they were using for their search adverts as well. They were also able to kind of other results through their approaches. They were able to kind of increase site speed off the back of that as well. So there's quite a lot of things that they're able to do here with that. So that's a really good example of what kind of a large corporation was able to do using kind of the power of analytics, and then kind of taking proaction off the back of that, because it's all good and well looking at numbers and data, but then we actually need to take action as well off the back of that there. Okay, let's have a look at any questions. Can't see any questions, but I can see Nikki kind of dropping in some very useful links as we kind of are going along this session. So let's now have a look at your next steps. So in terms of your next steps, what I'd say is feel free to book yourself onto the next webinar session, which is in this series on the 25th of February, I believe. Have a look. There's a link directly in the video description box below me that you can book onto that, which is the next series of webinars that we are delivering in partnership with County Kildare Chamber and LEO Kildare as well. Also, feel free to kind of explore the wider Google Digital Garage website, as I mentioned before, to have a look at those online courses. Remember, it's the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, which is the one once you've actually completed that course, which is available to you at no charge. You'll actually receive a certificate off the back of that course being completed. That might be something which you want to maybe pop onto your LinkedIn profile. You might even want to shout about it on social media. If you're that way inclined, if you want to pop it on social media, let other friends and family, people in your wider network know that these online courses are available to everyone at no charge, then feel free to do so. If you are going to put things up on social media, kind of promoting that, feel free to kind of include our hashtag, which is #DigitalGarage, just so maybe kind of members of our wider Google Digital Garage team can see your wonderful kind of achievement. Maybe you're posting a photo of that certificate once you've completed that course as well. Now, another thing that you can do, which would kind of help both myself and Nikki out, is if you did find this session useful, I know it's kind of a lot to absorb and take in, and you might need to lie down after this session. If you did find this session useful, both myself and Nikki would appreciate a little bit of feedback to let us know what you enjoyed about this morning's session. And Nikki will kindly drop in a link to the feedback form in the live chat, but also the feedback form link is in the video description as well. So feel free to kind of check that out as well. Also, remember, you are able to rewind and rewatch this webinar session back up as many times as you like, as this this webinar kind of link that you've got is going to remain active up to 24 hours. Feel free to kind of rewind, pause at certain points, especially if I maybe kind of have been talking at a million miles an hour as well. So feel free to kind of make sure that you are able to kind of pause at certain points, jot down further notes. Maybe you might even want to, once you migrated over to Google Analytics 4, if you've got kind of a dual screen, or kind of you can split your screen in two, then you can maybe follow a few things along kind of in terms of kind of the navigation, in terms of the reports that we looked at as well. So apart from that, I want to say a massive thank you to our webinar partner, to our webinar partner, County Kildare Chamber, and LEO Kildare as well. I want to say a massive thank you to Nikki, who I'm sure you'll agree has been a wonderful chat moderator. So feel free to show your appreciation down below in the live chat. She's done a fantastic job in dropping all those kind of useful links to you. And once again, thank you very much for joining me this morning. Thank you very much for tuning into this Google Digital Garage webinar session. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Goodbye.